So I want to do a reaction to a video that I watched from a podcast called Valuetainment. And if anybody has heard of that podcast, the guy that hosted Patrick Bet David's a pretty good host. He's interviewed a lot of people over the years. He has a really big platform. I think he has almost 4 million subs here on YouTube. And I ran across this um, episode called An Inconvenient Minority or something like that. He was talking to an Asian man, and the Asian man, he had a pretty good dialogue with Patrick Bet David. And I just like listening to people talk about things that are, factually true, but he talked about it in depth and very, very intelligently. And I like listening to intelligent people talk. So I want to give a quick little reaction to a couple of clips that I chopped up that are very, very relevant to what's going on in our society right now. And I just wanted to go over them real quick. So here we go.
That he's a racist. Critical race theorists have all the power over that person. They can get them to do anything that they want. For equity, anti-racism, you got to pay reparations, everything like that. But the central premise, the first concession that critical race theorists are always going to make a person say is that he is a racist. And that is a very, very damaging moral philosophy, because if you are trying to put all of your effort into convincing somebody that he's a racist, even though he's not a racist, you're going to spend a lot of energy basically deflating that person's self-confidence and destroying their belief in their moral goodness in themselves.
Do you think bad ideas can permanently win?
Permanently?
Yeah.
No.
Tell me why.
Because we have a cycle of history. There's a great quote. I forget who said it, but he said, hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. It's a cycle of history, right? And right now we're in good times, but we're producing weak men. And the critical race theory is one of those theories that is producing weak men, because it is getting a person to second guess, destroy his self-confidence, destroy his ego. That's the whole point of a critical race theory.
So let's just say this continues.
Okay, so from that exchange, the two most important points that he made was he talked about the critical race theory, and I know we've all heard of that, but basically what they are trying to do is they're trying to demonize white people and blame white people for everything wrong with this country. A lot of white people feel attacked for being white. And a lot of black people in response to say, welcome to our world. We've been oppressed in this country for 400 years. Now, of course, white people do not have the tumultuous history in this country that we do. But just because white people didn't experience slavery in this country does not mean white people weren't slaves in other countries. And it doesn't deny the fact that white people are being demonized everywhere across this nation. That's just what it is. In the university systems, in entertainment, all over social media. I mean, you name it. You are in the worst place that the indoctrination is going on is inside of the universities, inside the schools. And it's even in grade level schools, elementary, middle, and high school. That's why there was so much uproar about teaching children critical race theory in school. So I understand the anger that a lot of white people are feeling right now. I've already graduated college. When I went to college years ago, I didn't experience any of this anti-white indoctrination. I just went to school and took courses that I felt I needed to take that were pertinent for my major. I majored in political science, but I didn't really have too many far left professors that I knew of. I had one that I dropped. I had a class that I dropped because I didn't like the professor. But for the most part, I got through elementary, middle, and high school just fine without having to deal with all that indoctrination. So, and the sad thing about it is, it's mostly people that look like y'all. It's other white people, white liberals, that are pushing this charge forward because they're Marxist. And this is the goal is to break you. The goal is to break you down, to make you feel like you're a racist, like you're unworthy. And I know a lot of white conservatives aren't going to fall for that. They're not really paying any attention to what these people are doing too much. You're aware of it, but you're not letting it affect you. But it's not about breaking you as an adult. It's about breaking the children. It's about getting each generation softer and softer and softer, and then they can have their final takeover. So it's important that these people get rooted out sooner than later, because each generation, like the guy said on the second point I wanted to go over, he says that we're producing a lot of weak men. The old cliche is very, very true. Hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men. That's very true. Yep. So the goal is to create weak men. Weak men are much easier to bulldoze over. They're not going to fight. And we've seen it. We're seeing white liberals, and you're seeing, I call them the black liberal puppets, because the white liberals are the puppet masters. This guy here has got a muscular physique, but he's still got a feminism shirt on. I call a lot of these guys eunuchs because they have no balls. You know, the white liberals are just out of control. They are out of control. And it's crazy because I don't believe that the majority of white people are white liberals, but they got the loudest voices. And you wouldn't have a lot of the stuff going on in this society if, you know, we would have put our foot down long ago when this stuff first started rearing its ugly head. A lot of people blame Obama, but some of this stuff started before Obama, but it started to get very, very in your face under Obama. Here's the second clip.
And this prophecy goes, okay,
Yeah.
give me the sequence. First comes the CRT, the white man agrees they are. What comes next, and then what happens at the end? If we know hard times produce tough leaders produce good times produce weak leaders produce tough times. If we know that's the formula, how does this go? Walk us through the sequencing and how it ends.
Okay, well, somebody told me, a conservative scholar, a very famous conservative scholar once told me that critical race theory's objective, obviously they want to destroy white people, but after that they want to destroy black men, because the reason why they want to destroy black men is because black men still subscribe to this, you know, sort of masculinity ideal that prevents that and this individualism, this sort of rugged individualism that critical race theorists hate. So they're not they don't want to live with white people, but then after that they want to destroy the whole concept of an individual-centered masculinity in itself, and that's what I think is going to happen. You know, once they go after the whites, once they successfully convince whites that they're racist, they're going to go after the truly individualistic, free-spirited black men in this country, and they're going to convince them that they are perpetuating something awful.
Why though?
And that part right there was probably one of the most powerful parts of the interview. They don't want masculine men. There's an attack on white people, and there's an attack on masculinity. And if you're a black conservative, y'all already know how we get it as well. As a black person, I couldn't agree with him more. They are extremely invested in attacking the strong masculine black men and the strong masculine white men, because they know that when it comes down to fighting, nobody in this country has fought and died for this country the way that the white man and the black man has. My ancestors stood shoulder to shoulder to defend this nation in every war that we've waged since this country's inception. From the American Revolutionary War, blacks fought for our freedom during the Civil War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, you name it. My ancestors were in every war, just like the ancestors of white people. And if they can break the natural, violent, rebellious nature when we have to be, because all men are violent when we have to be. All real men are, not the panty wearing men, but all men regardless of race, have the propensity to be violent, to fight for our freedom, and to defend ourselves. That's just part of being a man. And they know that there's no nation mighty enough to conquer America with our military might. So how do you beat a country like America with the world's most powerful military and the best trained military in the world? Well, you degrade us from within. You know, we had the crack epidemic back in the 80s, decimated black communities across this country, and the solution was mass incarceration. Lots of black families was destroyed, and black folks did not invent crack cocaine. You see what's happening right now in mostly white communities with the fentanyl outbreaks. You've had a massive uptick in deaths. I think we're getting close to 100,000 dead per year from fentanyl overdose deaths in this country, and it's mostly happening in white America, and that's not a coincidence. It's by design. And remember, fentanyl is an opioid. What country produces a large percentage of the world's poppy plants? Afghanistan. Where did we just spend 20 plus years fighting a unnecessary war? Afghanistan. I'm just saying. Anyway, last but not least, the white liberals and their black liberal puppets all in for abortion. 60 million aborted babies since 1973. Over a third of those aborted babies are black babies and another third are white babies. Any coincidence that the two most rebellious races in this nation are being aborted out of existence? And we're only 13.5% of the population, so it hurts us more than it hurts white people. But in my opinion, abortion hurts everybody because no baby deserves to be killed in the womb. And finally, we know that the southern border remains wide open on purpose. Democrats and Republicans are complicit. It's indisputable, irrefutable at this point. If you have your eyes halfway open, you can see that. The Republicans talk a good game, but when they get to Washington, they get right in bed with the Democrats. The uniparty is a real thing, and that's just what it is until we stop them. But that's the end of the video, guys. I just wanted to go over what my Asian man had to say because he's spot on. I'm not saying that Hispanics and Asian men are not strong men. I'm not saying they don't fight, because they do. Every man has the propensity and will to fight. I'm just saying that in this country specifically, it has been the black heterosexual masculine man and the white heterosexual masculine man who have fought and died shoulder to shoulder when we had to for the welfare of this nation. I know that we have a bloody history between each other. We don't always get along, but when it comes down to protecting our families and protecting our country and doing what is right, we are pretty much the two guys in history who've done that. And Hispanics and Asians, like I said, have contributed. I'm just talking about historically, because Hispanics and Asians don't have the history in this nation the way that black and white people do. And now you have a greater number of black men every election cycle starting to vote Republican. A lot of younger black people are starting to wake up, and that scares the Democrats, and they don't like that. So they're trying to get us out the way. We're in their way. White people, y'all are the craziest. Y'all the ones that'll go to war. Y'all will go blow shit up. Y'all will storm the Capitol. Y'all about that life. And we about that life too. But we not finna start it off. We'll let y'all start it, and then we'll jump in later. But that's what it is, man. Appreciate y'all watching. Catch y'all on the next one.